Gordon Gopher. Hello! Well, people may have just tuned in to Gordon the Gopher, but no, it's Vampire the Masquerade again. And no recap this time, except a brief one by myself to say that the coterie had just encountered one of their fellow Toreador, two of their fellow Toreador, by visiting the domain, the haven of Dieter Jürgens, who puts on some extravagant wine-based soirees, and observed the art installation of Gunther Lechtenbrink. They discussed various things to do with the politics of the city and the elusive party boy, although for further information on that discussion, I suggest checking out the previous part. So, before we begin, I was just talking to the players and just want their categorical confirmation that they don't want to spend any of their experience points at this point. Eunice?
Oh no, I'm not spending. I still have 10 points in store, but I'm not using them yet.
And John?
I know what I'm going to spend them on, but not yet. That necromancy will really come in handy. You know? No, I know what I'm doing, but not today.
Okay. Well, in that case, we're going to throw ourselves straight in. You are now leaving, unless there is anything else that you want to do at the chateau of Jürgens. You are leaving to get back into the car. BMW, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But your destination had not yet been decided, so I leave it to the two of you to discuss. Jürgens has left you in the room with the installation after donating the bottle of wine quite kindly to Karl Schweitz. He has exited, presumably to speak further with Lechtenbrink, so you are on your own for the time being.
All right. In that case, did you mean that we're already like in the car, or?
You can be on your way, and it won't cause any great offence to the host.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't. Yourselves out.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything left to do in the building itself. I would be going to the car, and most likely Carl is coming with me.
No, not this time. Carl will in fact go with him, yes, or her, as the case may be, because she's a lady.
Now, I have it noted down, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, that the driver was Bruno again?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruno. Not seeing your artwork up, unfortunately, Eunice. He pulls the the car around to the front upon seeing you, and you may enter.
Yeah, I'm not really speaking anything particular before we get inside the car. I'm just, going straight forward into the back seat there, and waiting for the doors to shut before I kind of open my mouth about anything.
He closes the door behind Carl if he follows you in.
Yeah.
And then climbs into the driver's seat.
Drive, Bruno.
Any specific destination, Mutter?
Just drive for now. I'll have to make a few calls. I'll turn to Carl and I'll just say, so I suggest we focus our attention at this point to going to the university campus, to the dormitories of this Johnny Whist, who unfortunately has met his end, thanks to my beautiful white Mercedes. But I'm going to need all of my boys for this one. I would suspect that even at night, dormitory campus areas would be littered with people and mostly lively surroundings and such. So the more we can actually do crowd control, the better. We don't exactly fit into the university atmosphere, if I...
Speak for yourself. Carol, being a young man of around 20, probably does look quite student if dressed properly. So yeah, he could probably fit in quite easily.
Oh, okay.
So he'll probably raise an eyebrow at that remark, but not say anything. He doesn't want to offend you.
Well, speaking for myself, at least. So I will make calls and call all my boys to meet up, and we will get to the university grounds. Are you okay with this, or do you need to go somewhere or anything like that before?
No, my night's been taken care of. I've been to my work. I'm free.
Very nice. In that case, I'll make the calls, and I'll take the phone that I have in my car, and I'll just dial up, and I'll call each of my ghouls. Even though I did grant Friedrich and Werner the privilege of sleeping through the night, unfortunately, I'm going to have to wake them and call them all up.
And Fritz as well, despite his punishment.
Yeah, of course, he can still. I can still use him for work. It's just all work and no play. I'm making.
Yeah, maybe hungering slightly, or very jealous of his.
Yeah. Yeah, but basically, yeah, I'm calling all 5 of my boys to use in this one.
In that case, yes, you pick up the large in-car phone, which is, of course, into the car. It takes a while for you to actually receive any kind of reception. Bruno has to drive around a little before you can make any clear calls, and when he finds it, he pulls over. Making calls in motion on these things aren't usually terribly effective.
Yeah.
But you do.
Since I don't have anything really specific to say to any one of my boys, I'll basically tell all of them to meet up at the in the car park, in the garage of my apartment building, and we'll pick them up from there. But since the Mercedes is still being taken care of, no, actually it was crushed. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I shed a couple of tears for that. So basically, we only have the BMW, and there's already 3 of us in it.
I'm sure they have their own modes of transportation, or at least a couple of them will.
Okay, that's good then. So they don't have to take public transport.
We could form a
potential drivers, I would say no.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, yeah, I'll tell them all to meet up in the same location at the car park.
Bruno doesn't comment as you make your phone calls, at least not in words, but as you get on the phone to Fritz, you hear him sigh and you see him shake his head as he's driving along.
Okay.
Flexes.
So we already have everybody on board?
Yeah, of course everyone agrees. They are your ghouls after all, and so when you arrive back at the car park, they're already there. Werner does, to his credit for being the oldest one, already have dressed up. He's already dressed up smart, sharp, and hair very keenly slicked back, as if he's been awake these past few hours anyway. Friedrich looking a bit more dishevelled, hasn't yet had a shave. Fritz, clearly, even though he was barred from having a good time, was on a night out. He's wearing a bit of a cravat-like get-up. And what else do we have? Klaus.
Yeah.
Klaus. Yes, so you haven't really encountered Klaus yet in this game. Klaus is dressed smartly, but not ostentatiously.
Okay. In that case, I'll once we arrive at the car park, I'll get out of the back seat of the car and come in front of all of my boys there, so that I'm in close proximity to all of them, so I don't need to like yell and make a speech or anything like that. I can just talk in a low tone, because if that weird neighbor of mine just happens to go into his car at the same time, he won't hear anything. But anyways, I'll basically go in front of my boys, and I'll go. Well, I'm really glad that we all got to meet up here, and there is something I'm going to need all of you to do for me, or actually do with me, and I'm going to need all of you on your best at this. So pay close attention. We are going to the university campus dormitory areas of this. I wrote it down. I think I wrote down the university name, but anyway.
It's the Free University of Berlin.
Well, I'll mention that as the location. I'm going to need all of you to manage the possibly drunk and tired or restless students that may be walking around the premises, so that I and Mr. Schweitz here can go and investigate and search the dormitory of this Johnny Whist that we're on the trail of. Now, he has 2 roommates in his dormitory, and if they happen to be there, I'm going to need you to get rid of them. Not anything too physical to cause a scene, but I'm sure since I've gotten the idea that they kind of know that their roommate was up to some reprehensible activities, they might have been in small part of it, and therefore they might not be so surprised if somebody like Klaus or Bruno with the large frame comes knocking on their door and tells them to step outside and have a little talk. So I basically just need you to handle the kind for me. Get them out of the dormitory room and watch out for other doors and hallways, and so that we have our peace to do our investigative work at the dorm room. Are there any questions?
Werner looks at his 4 fellows. I will handle any faculty that we come across. Bruno and Friedrich can handle these 2 students. If they make any trouble, they will restrain. Fritz and Klaus can patrol the hallway, ensure that any doors that open are abruptly shut. We'll give the signal if we need to move fast.
Very good. Myself and Mr. Schweitz will be waiting in the background, or if Carl, if you want to go with my boys to the door and go in the vanguard, as it were, you're welcome to do that. But I myself would arouse too much suspicion, I would think. So I will wait for my boys to handle the situation, and once the dust settles, I will go and inspect the room. But you're free to do as you wish, Carl.
Carl sort of nods his head and says, I'm reasonably used to this sort of crowd. I could lurk in the background while your boys do their work, and maybe pick something up from that before we go inside.
Very well. So, is that all the questions? Is everything else clear?
It is all clear, Mutter. I'm sure everyone will agree. Everyone else nods as Werner speaks for them. I will drive separately, my own Volkswagen, and they can. And I'll have a couple of them travel with me if the rest travel with you.
Very good. Well then, let's get to it, boys. And I'll smile and walk to the back seat of my BMW.
Yeah, Carl won't have anything else to say. He'll just sort of slink along beside you.
Bruno climbs back into the front of the BMW with Klaus climbing in beside him. That makes for two very big front seaters. Klaus slides the seat back slightly into Schweitz's legroom area. The rest of the three climb into the Volkswagen. Fortunately, they're not all built like Bruno and Klaus, so it isn't a clown car.
Yeah, Carl probably withdraw his legs to some extent, not wanting to offend the guy.
And so they head off. You all head off to the Free University of Berlin. Klaus, ever talkative and personable, looks over his shoulder as you're going along. So, Herr Schweitz, have you ever been to the Free University of Berlin before?
Carl sort of like nods his head from left to right. Like, I wouldn't say I've been there. I've been there, but not been there, if you know what I mean.
Oh, it is a wonderful university. It is where I studied when I was a student, 15 years ago now. Founded just after the Second World War. Bruno says they don't want to hear this. No, it is very interesting. I picked up on your accent. You're not from the inner city, are you? You clearly come from the outskirts. I came from the outskirts as well. I came from Dahlem, which is where the university is actually based, but I moved around a lot. I think it's a shame you're seeing it at night, but of course I'm sure you don't have much of an option. I think you'll find it absolutely fascinating. The campus itself, it's great fun, so many things to do.
Carol, like a goldfish, keeps looking like he wants to say something in response, and then this man moves on to another sort of topic before he can speak. So he's and eventually when he finishes, sort of, there's enough of a break in the speech. Carol probably makes a massive mistake, botches his social role without rolling it, and says, "Oh, what did you study?"
Oh,
Good God Almighty, it is all over.
I may not look it. I was something of an academic. My studies were in the sciences. It's in large part a science university. My focus was in biology, in the biology of mammals specifically. I did a dissertation. It was highly regarded at the time. But my main joy was on the lecture circuit. I never wanted to get into being a professor or a teacher or a biologist, really. I just studied it for the interest. And I believe I can make any subject interesting, really, just by talking at it at length, going around things, and generally providing a bit of context. I think that's what's always required. I think that's what Mutter sees in me, really, if I may speak for you, Mutter, and you know that I don't like to do that too often. But I have a good way of making someone informed as to the situation. And so when it comes to such a complex subject as mammal biology, well, it's a subject not everyone can get their teeth into, if you catch my meaning.
While he's going on and on and on, I'm mostly just looking at Carl with this wide grin on my face, because I've most likely heard all of this multiple times throughout the years. So No, I'm just finding it entertaining that he's clogging the air with this talk that he does.
For his part, Carl seems sort of happy to not have to say much and just sort of be on the receiving end of information rather than attempting to dish it out. He's reminded by this man's demeanour of a Monty Python sketch about the Conservative Party. He's waiting for him to run.
Dropping at the mouth and falling over backwards.
There he goes. The very one. Gain 10 XP from me there. So yeah, he's not got much more to say. He sort of says, "Oh, that sounds interesting. A dissertation. Is it publicly available?"
Oh yeah. It's available in the library this side of the wall. My works have not seen publication in the East. It is a dreadful rigmarole, as they say, to get works published on both sides of the wall this time. I think that is why I'm most looking forward to seeing the wall come down, as it no doubt will do soon. They started building a McDonald's in the bare shadow of it. There's been no Tollies there for the last decade or so, but McDonald's, Levi's. There's been what else was there? There was a Gap just built right near the Berlin Wall. You can see when the Americans start saying that their shops can get close enough to the wall that they can practically spit on the other side, they know it's not going to be long until that wall comes down. Then they'll build another chain of Kentucky Fried Chickens, Wimpy's, that's the British one, isn't it? Yes, I think it's something very much to look forward to. But I missed what you... yes, you were asking about my dissertation, and so he goes on.
Carol sheds an imaginary blood tear for Wimpy. Oh, gone but not forgotten.
Yes, I'm being topical.
He may at some point during the repartee drop in a question about, are you knowledgeable about the East?
Oh no! I've been to the East once to meet family over there pretty much on the edge of Poland. They're pretty distant, but we were only allowed a permit to visit family once, and then everything clamped up very much as it does in fits and starts. And since that time, we've had no communication with our family. We've had no record of them being alive or dead. They weren't that close, so I'm not broken up over it. I'm not smashing my fists against the wall, demanding it come down, but I'll be very curious to find out what my family's been doing for these last 10 years since I last saw them. As I say, they're not close. It isn't like my mother or my father or my siblings. They're rather one grandparent and a couple of aunts and my cousins, but I've got uncles and aunts on this side of the wall as well. Families are large things and they're beautiful things, you know, they can spread everywhere like roots. They go through the earth, they can grow around even the hardest rock, and something like small like a wall isn't going to destroy a family, I'm sure you'll agree.
At that point, I'll place my hand on his shoulder and I'll just say, but Klaus, your brothers and your Mutter are here.
Oh yeah, well that is the most important family of all, he says without missing a beat. The family that loves you and cares for you always and does not just provide for you but asks something of you as well. There is something parasitical about the family that you share by genealogy, by blood, you know. It is something somewhat more unhealthy because you do not have to like them, you do not have to love them, and they could be a drain on you, whereas my Mutter and my brothers, even though they are not connected to me by in the traditional sense, we can all rely on each other to the death, I would say, without attempting to be morbid, and don't take me for a morbid sort, because I am certainly not that. But I think that we would fight for each other, be loyal unto each other, and until, well, kingdom come, as they say. You know, John F. Kennedy, when he made his Ich bin ein Berliner speech, was granted freedom of the Free University in 1960, I think that was 1963.
Carol bursts out laughing when he says freedom of the Free University, and his his very sort of left-wing punk rock outlook finds it quite ironic, without saying so, that something which is free can declare the freedom to someone. Surely everyone has the freedom of the free university. Oh.
You know, and Robert Kennedy also visited the university 1 year after his brother's dreadful assassination and got an honorary degree in philosophy.
Damn you, Milliner. So, yeah, Carol, unless there's something I'm going to try and get from this guy, which I doubt, Carol's just going to sort of continue with, he'll just question him, leading to a tirade, which he'll absorb quite amiably.
Bruno says nothing during this entire journey. His eyes stay fixed to the road. Much like his mutter, he has heard all of this before and probably knows exactly how to block it out. He's likely been listening to this for the last few years. And at one point, it no doubt drove him to fits of anger and smashing chairs over people, but now it's...
Slap a master lock on him.
Criminal grass race! But now it's just white noise. And so you're lectured by the steady tones of Klaus as you arrive at the Free University of Berlin.
Okay. How does it look like? Does it look like there's... by the way, which day of the week might this be?
This is still going to be Saturday night.
Okay. So it could easily be a party going on in the dormitory areas or something like that. What does it look like then? Is there any loud music, or is there like rock students going about?
It's still pretty active, considering you've already been out this evening, and it's probably around midnight now. It's looking busy enough. This university is a respectable one. It is likely considered one of the eminent universities of Germany, let alone, or at least West Germany. So it's not Animal House, but there's there are lights on in the campuses. You can hear the steady beat of music from one of the campuses, but there's no one chuntering on the lawn, or no one doing donuts in the campus grounds in the dean's Mercedes.
All right, now that we are here, Carl, why don't you oversee my boys do their thing? You go with them in the dormitories, and how about you? I'm sure there's a flashlight or something in the glove box. Why don't you make a little signal out of a window for me when it's time for me to come up, when everything is taken care of?
Carl nods in agreement. Sure.
Good. I will wait in the car.
By the way, signaling Werner's arrival with the other two.
I'll wait in the car in the meantime. So just do your magic.
Roseanne, come on!
This is good fun then, because we can carry on with our conversation as we make our way to the student village. You know, as I say, I've studied here before, so I know my way around. It's not changed that much in the last 20-odd years. But Friedrich was here earlier today, so he'll no doubt know where he's going and where he needs to find these students or their dormitory. But if you ever wanted a tour around this place at your own time, I'd be more than happy to provide it for you, as long as Mutter was happy to release me for that time, you understand? He says as you're walking.
Yeah, I'm left behind in the car.
Gladly left behind. As Carl and the Toreador five-way connection make their way. the five horsemen are going to make their way out. Carl will take whatever equipment it is from the boot, the trunk, whatever place you're from calls it, and equips himself with a battleship, with the flashlight / torch, again depending on where you're from, He's not going to go with the guys as such. He's going to sort of follow at a not too obvious distance from them, kind of stopping to look around the campus, but keeping one eye on the guys, just so that he's not sort of with them, but he's sort of nearby so he can see what's going on.
They bypass a number of the campuses. You see them signposted up as the campus Dalem, and then you pass another one, the campus Tupel, arriving at the student village, which was just visible in the night, where of course the majority of the lights and sound is coming from. You pass a number of students who don't really pay you any attention. It's not, there's going to be lots of students here. There's thousands in any one year, so it's quite common to not recognise people. And none of the ghouls are so ostentatious or bizarre as to stick out like a sore thumb, despite their age. To be honest, the only one who really looks like a young student the only one that could pass for a young student is really Fritz. And he's dressed for a party. So he's kind of taken the lead of the group. Werner looks like a lecturer who's just returned from a funeral. So that's where he stands out, but the rest of them pretty much blend in, and no one pays you any heed until Carl.
Yes.
This is a random event. Oh, actually.
What?
You have no fame.
No fame.
No fame ability. Background, rather. So I'm going to spring this on you anyway. You hear, Carl?
Oh God, having Groundhog Day. This guy tries to sell insurance. I'm running away. Okay, Carol sort of like looks probably in all directions.
The ghouls will stop and look as well. There's a fellow walking over with a long beard tied in a ponytail. Well, sort of long, getting to this length. Long hair down his back. You recognise him as he walks over to you with a beaming smile.
Is he one of the patrons from the restaurant or something?
No, this is someone you probably knew about 2 or 3 years ago. He studied food science with you, went to the same cookery school.
Ah. What's his name?
Herman.
I know. Sorry?
Herman.
Herman, alright. Carol sort of like, being his ordinary self, probably reverts to type for a moment when he sees this figure from his past. For a moment forgetting about sort of why he's here, sort of glances at him and
Herman von Boots, you remember me?
Herman, and
he pretty much forces his hand into yours and shakes it.
Yeah, he is grabbed and is shook, and he sort of nods in almost disbelief. Oh.
Gosh, you're cold. You should come inside.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm late. I'm late for an appointment. What
appointment?
Are you studying? Are you studying here? Carl tries to move the conversation on very quickly.
You're such a joker, Carl. No, I am now a professor of food nutrition.
Oh,
food science and nutrition is the full.
I would invite you to come to my restaurant, but I say my restaurant.
Your restaurant now.
No. I'm being
the study of that old lush.
I'm being pretentious. It's not my restaurant, but it's my kitchen. But I would invite you there, but I'm not too sure you would find much nutrition, although I do my best.
Who are your friends? Why are you here then? You say you're here for an appointment at midnight.
Oh yes, we're supposed to be meeting some of the student body.
At midnight?
The student body. Carol sort of nods as if that explains it.
Herman looks slightly confused. In fact, very confused.
This is an early hour for. You remember back in the day, sitting up all night listening to the Dead Kennedys. Yeah, come on. Some of us grow up, some of us don't, Herman.
It's Speaking of the dead Kennedys, did you know Robert Kennedy received his honorary philosophy degree from this university?
Yes, take this job and shove it,
Klaus looks like he's about to pipe up, and Werner shoots him a glare.
Well, actually.
So who are you?
Actually, Carol thinks this might be an idea. He's like, I was just talking to Klaus earlier about Robert Kennedy, thinking that, well, Klaus probably burns the ears off this guy. Carol might be able to slip away.
Oh, I like that idea. Okay, so your first distraction attempt. I'm going, in order for you to actually get the point across to Klaus, could you do an expression and manipulation, please?
Right. I don't know what I'm going to roll it. 4 dice.
And if with success, Klaus will step in and keep Herman distracted as the rest of you move on.
And with 4 successes, Carol suddenly he stops being Carol Schweitz and becomes Carol Sagan. Yes! Well, Klaus over here is actually quite the aficionado of Kennedy history, and I'm sure could keep you up to date on all sorts of things. I mean, I've heard there's even some things that he's come out with that and as you know, I read into a lot of this stuff, you know, like the old conspiracy theories and the grassy and all that. Well, Klaus here is a bona fide authority.
That was Robert Kennedy, and at which point he pretty much shoves Werner out of the way and starts haranguing Herman. And the other ghouls look to each other before moving on to the student village.
Yeah, Carl is going to sort of like stay for a bit and let them move on, and then try to sort of like briefly, yeah, oh, it's good to see you. You know, you should drop by, tell him where the restaurant is, and then make his way off.
He tries to get in a goodbye, but gets Klaus in his field of vision before he can. He's moved on to Teddy Kennedy now, and the chap are quitting into the...
He's slowly moving towards Mr. Kennedy. Yeah. Kennedy! So yeah, Carl will then sort of make his apologies and his leave, and trail off in the path of the ghouls, or what's left of them.
Yes, slowly being dilapidated inside.
They're melting.
The Schlachtensee student village of the Free University is actually, well, it's pretty damn large. It was built around 30 years ago now, but can house around 1,000 students. And you can tell as you're approaching, it's a pretty busy place, especially on a Saturday night when there hasn't been a lot of work going on during the day. Or those who have been working have been scratching together a few Deutschmarks just so they can spend it on alcohol and probably some illegal drug substances for the evening.
God damn it.
The war on drugs has not yet been won.
That's it, World War II was just the beginning.
You enter the student village, Studentendorf, and Friedrich points you over to the specific dorm rooms.
Carl sort of like maybe suggests to them that he makes a pass first. Like he's not going to try to go in, he's just going to make a pass and see if anyone's there, obviously, at a glance.
The dorm that Friedrich is pointing over at does have lights on in it. And if you spend long enough to, looking in the windows, you do see motion occasionally, so it's not abandoned.
Carol's going to pick up a student notice of some kind, something that can look like he's reading, while walking slowly and kind of glancing up, as though he's only glancing up to see where he's going. But with slow steps as he passes by, he's going to have a look at that door and the area around it, if anyone's loitering outside it, if he can see in at all. But just briefly, not like take a long, hard look at it.
As you
carry on slightly down.
As you have a glance over at the door, it bursts open and out pours about 7 students, girls and boys, all giggling, laughing, looking a bit drunk. They look at you, they laugh at you because they're in on a joke that you couldn't possibly understand. And by this point, the ghouls are mostly dispersed. They're all within eyesight of each other, but they are kind of keeping a patrol going. Friedrich is the one that's closest to you, of course, because he knows which dorm you're after. One of the girls looks at you and says, "Why don't you join us at the Schlachtensee? The lake over there, we have a party going on. We have good music. There's loads of party boys and girls over there."
Really? Hold on a minute. Yeah, suddenly Carl springs into action. No, he'll sort of like activate his shyness to get rid of these people. He'll just sort of like and then sort of look at the notice he's holding, which is probably for some book group, and sort of like stammer like a complete FUD, and then like almost
one of the boys, curly-haired, glasses, looks over at the leaflet in your hand. "That's not until Monday night. You're here at the wrong evening, pal."
Carl sort of like closes his eyes and sort of looks down again. "Oh, sorry," and then moves off, shuffling his feet and sort of even like trying to be more awkward than he actually is, which is very awkward indeed.
You hear students muttering and laughing about mature students being such squares before they head on.
Yeah. It's all part of the plan, party boy. So yeah, Carl, if that's all he's noticed, we'll just move slightly further down the corridor and then stop again. He'll kind of like find, I don't know, maybe a bin or something that he can sort of like look like he's sitting next to for a moment, or a drinking fountain or something, some kind of landmark, and wait for the ghouls to kick off their operation, whatever that is.
Yeah, Friedrich actually follows you in. Werner is just generally doing a circuit, looking for people around his similar age range. He's adults, basically. He's looking for any members of the teaching staff because they're the most likely to actually notice things that may be amiss. The other two, or in fact, the other two, Fritz and Bruno, are keeping watch. They are around this particular dormitory building, but they're not actually entering it. It appears that this dorm is a bit smaller than they had anticipated. It's a bit like a village hall that's been sectioned off and divided off with 2 floors between it, but it's by no means all mod cons. It's a little like a chalet, which has been just cut up into rooms.
All right. Yeah, Carl, not really knowing where he's going, will probably just sort of pause and wait to be prompted.
Friedrich sort of pats you on the shoulder as if to say, "Good job," and walks a little further along the corridor before gesturing with his head at the to his right. Listen to it briefly.
Carl's going to make his way over there because he's got auspex, and I don't know if this guy does. How noisy is it in here?
This dorm isn't the noisiest. It isn't the one with all the party going on.
So I wouldn't absolutely deafen myself by trying to use heightened senses right now.
You would if there was anything going on. But Friedrich doesn't seem to be picking up on anything.
I'm going to use heightened senses, and I'm going to listen at the door for a moment.
You can hear from within some tapping and some snoring.
Someone's playing Daley Thompson's Athletics. Okay. The joystick's been destroyed. The shoulders on it. That's how Big Papa Pump got his traps. No, Carl would sort of look at Friedrich and then sort of walk past him and say quietly, "Someone's inside." And then move sort of further down the corridor, not really far away, just far enough that it's not obviously 2 guys just standing outside the door. He's going to keep an eye and see if anyone's coming down towards them. Presumably because Friedrich's looking the other way, he'll be able to see that from that angle.
There's no one else coming, and you can't. It doesn't look like this. Well, this room will have a window that is outside. If you that leads to the outside of the building if you want to exit and have a peer through. But there doesn't seem to be any more activity from within. Friedrich looks unsure about knocking on the door.
Is this on the ground floor?
Yeah.
Do I have any of the girls' phone numbers?
No.
All right, enough. They wouldn't be carrying mobiles, well, it's the 80s.
Yeah.
So, technology. Carol will sort of like then turn and walk back and say to Friedrich, "Wait a moment, I'll look, see what I can see from outside." He'll sort of go back to the dorm. Are any of the other girls in the sort of doorway or near it?
Yeah, Bruno has moved up to the dorm now and is acting the heavy that he said he would, so that if either of the students make a fuss, he will wrestle them.
Good God, what a slobberknocker! Right, so Carol will locate someone who's sort of not whoever looks spare, basically. Probably not the muscle. Aye, Fritz. He loves me. So, could you have a look and see what you can see through the outside window? Just
you promise this one won't get me in trouble?
Oh no, you don't have to fight anyone this time.
I've fallen out of favour with Mutter because of what you made me do.
Carol puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "Maybe I can help you get back into her good graces."
He forces a smile and says, "I don't think I need your help."
So then there's no reason for you to be angry, is there?
He goes over to the window that you specify and kind of nonchalantly walks past whilst crooking his neck, getting a good look in as he walks by. Then leaning against the wall beside the window, lights up a cigarette, and blowing smoke. You can see he's taking another glance before he pulls away and walks back towards you. Did you think that was subtle?
Well, I don't hear any alarms ringing, so it's good enough for me.
One of them is on one of those computers playing a game. The other one appears to be asleep.
It's Daley Thompson, I knew it. Carl sort of just nods his head and then sort of says thank you and makes his way back to towards the main body of the kirk, and just to the closest of the ghouls that are going to be doing the sort of breaking and entering part of this. Says one's asleep, one is playing a computer, apparently. And then Carl just makes his way down the corridor again, leaves them to their work. They're probably better at this than he is.
Friedrich knocks on the door at this point. Do you retain your heightened senses?
Yeah, unless it's going to get me defense.
Alright. In that case, you hear the tapping stop. And someone push a chair back and say, "Who is it?" Friedrich doesn't answer and instead knocks again, slightly more loudly. And the voice changes. Who is it? Friedrich looks over at Bruno. Bruno walks towards the door, grabs the handle, snaps it down, and then just shoulders the door open surprisingly easily, at which point you hear the scream and you do... I'm not going to make you deafened by the scream of a male student.
Yeah, turn off his heightened sense, and then sort of glance quickly in both directions to make sure no one else is dashing out of a dorm or anything to see what the hell's going on.
You do see a light go on in one of the other, well, come from underneath one of the other doors in the dorm as Bruno and Friedrich both wade into the specific room.
Was it a masculine scream?
Yeah.
Alright, Carl stumbles towards the door where the light came on.
The door opens. There's a...
Carl puts his hand on his chest when the door opens. Doesn't matter who it is. Puts his hand on his chest and he sort of makes another sort of like that, and tries to look just tripped out his head, and holds his hand out towards the guy, and then just like kind of walks off in the corridor as if to make out it's just a crazy stoned guy milling about getting scared of his own shadow.
Oh, okay, that kind of subterfuge or performance. Well, you don't have performance, so I don't think you've got subterfuge. Oh yeah, you do have subterfuge. Subterfuge and charisma.
I thought I took performance. That was an overlooked thing there. So
yeah, if you put your food together, you look like a complete prick. But when it's finished, it looks wonderful.
Charisma subterfuge.
You couldn't be a television chef. You're no Ainsley.
I've rolled so badly. It's a mere failure though, not a complete botch. But depending on the difficulty.
In that case, the man in the doorway, he's only a young guy, probably about 18 or 19 years old, but he looks pretty well built, looks somewhat athletic, looks at you in alarm. Clearly he's just been woken up. And while he isn't prepared to just turn around and go back to bed, he does say, "Why are you screaming at this time of night?"
Carl, and sort of going to rely on skills that he is good at, sort of like sort of shrinks away again. To be honest, it's probably quite a natural reaction to this kind of jock who used to batter him at school. Shrinks away from him for a moment and then sprints back towards the door and runs out of the halls.
This guy, who is pissed off for reasons best known to himself, he's actually got work very early on Sunday, decides he's going to chase this.
Good luck to him.
And closing the door behind him, he leaves the door, unfortunately doing so just before another scream rings out. Carl, you're running across the campus now?
If he's chasing me all the way across the campus.
You can hear him shouting behind you, "I'm tired of you party boys keeping me up all night. I've got to study and I've got to work in the morning."
Carol, thinking that he is also quite tired of Party Boy, is just basically going to try to completely outpace this idiot and get away from him.
I'm guessing you're not using. Are you using your celerity, or are you just going to go?
I'm going to use it as a passive. I'm not going to spend blood on it. I'm just
going to run celerity and athletics, please.
Get ready for some dice, ladies and gentlemen. Dex, celerity, and athletics. Finally! Oh, and look at Linford Christie again here with his 5 successes. Makes this guy who previously thought he was Germany's answer to Carl Lewis looks like, in fact, Germany's answer to the lad of Samara, as he completely leaves him in his dust.
You find yourself at the lake.
Party! Yeah. Well, if he's angry at Party Boys, I suppose running towards the lake might not have been a bad idea.
Yeah, he gives up, throws whatever he was carrying to the ground in a fit of pique, and decides to turn around to go back to the dorm. Meanwhile, at the dorm, something is going on that you don't know about, given that neither of you are there.
Yeah, so Carl's going to change course and make his way towards Anna's car.
Anna.
Again, at top speed if he can.
You see Carl running towards your car. That always bodes well when you see Carl running.
I love it when he runs.
Okay, well, I'm just waiting for him to arrive to explain to me what's this all.
When he gets within sort of sight of the car, he'll kind of slow down his pace and sort of wander over. Presumably the window will go down, so he doesn't have to actually get in. But he'll sort of say like, the boys have busted in quite forcibly. There was screaming. I had to distract a guy. I don't know what they're doing now, but I think I'm going to get back there. You might want to start thinking about heading over. He says that in a more German way than I do, incidentally. Because when I'm talking in this voice, I can only use.
All
right. Well, as long as I get the signal from the window, I will know when to go in. So, not a problem.
Yeah, Carlo starts sort of like making his way back. He might mosey towards the place where the window is, so he might be able to see in unless the ghouls have had the foresight to draw the blinds.
No, the blinds have not been drawn. However, you can't see you can't see the students in there, and neither can you see the ghouls. Werner is still wandering about outside, as is Fritz, but you can't see Friedrich or Bruno.
Yeah, Carl will approach. Who's closest to the action? Like, who's closest to the door?
Well, Fritz is the one that's closest to the door.
So Carl probably just sprinted past him. So he'll make his way back. The first thing he'll do is kind of shake his head and say, like, meathead. And then he'll kind of say, like, oh, I take it things are quieter now.
Oh, yeah. They made a bit of a fuss, so Bruno and Friedrich took them out into the countryside.
Is it clear for, and he pauses for a moment before sort of using their terms so as not to offend them, is it safe for your mutter to come out now?
I'm just waiting for either Friedrich or Bruno to come back. One of them can handle two young men, I'm sure. Not as well as I could handle them, I'm sure, but when one of them returns, we will give the signal to Mutter.
Carol sort of nods his head, and he'll wait.
A few of the students took notice to the noise, but haven't done anything rash. I explained that someone was on drugs. They were having a party and they all went down to the lake. That seemed like the most rational thing. I'm sure you will agree.
Yeah, it's a similar idea to what I had, although I tried to impersonate the junkie. And Carol suddenly looks ashamed of himself and then shakes his head.
Oh no! Don't look so ashamed. You play the part of a junkie well. He smiles. Clearly, Fritz doesn't like you.
Carol strangely is going to take that as a compliment and not notice the barb hidden inside it, and go oh, and sort of smile and nod. Oh, thank you. I'm taking this validation quite well.
Friedrich emerges from across the grass and gives the signal to Fritz. Fritz enters the dorm and signals Anna.
Yeah, Carol will go with him and probably flash the flashlight or whatever he's supposed to do.
Okay. Well, at that signal, I'll know. I'll get out of the car and I'll walk in right through the front door.
As you're walking there, you see Klaus engaging a thoroughly exasperated-looking man. Klaus gives you a bare smile, but a gesture of keep moving, don't stop.
You had one job, Klaus.
I'll keep moving to the dorm, and I'll try to be, kind of nonchalant. I'm walking there, looking as if I live here or something like that. I'm like looking like an out. I try my best not to look like an outsider, at least not an obvious one.
No one pays you any heed. There's less students out in the ground now. They've all headed over to the lake for the midnight party. So when you arrive at the dorm, you meet up with Carl. The actual dormitory in which these students were staying had two bunk beds on either side, a computer at the end of one of them, a writing desk, and a little sort of stove. There's no bathroom facilities or anything. It must be a communal bathroom upstairs or further along the hall, you would gather. But this isn't by any means a luxury apartment or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay, well, since I don't really know specifically where to start looking, I'll basically start to rummage through all sorts of, if there's a desk with any sort of papers or notepads or anything like that, if there's anything on any shelves or anything like that, if there's any like cupboards that might have a detachable bottom section or anything of that sort, I'll let my investigation roll.
Before we bridge in with both feet, Carl's actually going to ask a question, which is, what exactly are we looking for?
Anything really, anything to give us further. Sorry, anything to give us further leads besides this place and the church that we have yet to go through. Any names, any hints at any other locations, any diaries or anything that might mention his this Johnny's meeting with kindred and such.
Yeah, Carl is going to have a look around also.
My willpower on this roll.
You're using a willpower?
Yeah.
Oh!
9984, so that's 3 successes plus the one from willpower, so 4.
Yeah. Okay. You quite quickly discover there's no wardrobes here. It looks like all their clothes are kept in sort of flat pack little containers that are pushed underneath the bunk beds. There are bags that are folded up in there, and you actually spot on one of them pretty swiftly the name Johnny Wist's that's been stitched into one of them, along with a bunch of his clothing, you would gather. Likewise, the drawers are compartmentalized quite neatly. The different work for each of these students. Each of them, they all seem to be studying the same course of genetic medicine. And so their study notes aren't dissimilar to one another. Although in amongst the notes, not in Johnny Wist's notes, mind you, but you find in one of their drawers some pamphlets for a nightclub, and various nightclubs in fact, and what appears to you to be the fetish wear scene, which is somewhat of note as it stands out among all the science paraphernalia.
I will not like take any of these pamphlets or anything. I won't take them with me to make anyone see that, you know, what clues we might have found while rummaging through this. But I am taking notes myself, so I'm writing down all of the nightclubs that I find pamphlets to.
Okay, I'll give you the list after you're out of here then.
Okay.
Is there a kitchen in the dorm?
Is there a picture of all of them?
A kitchen.
A kitchen, there's a little stove, yes, with a cupboard open.
Do they have a fridge?
No.
Alright, okay. I'm just interested. I'm just interested if they have been eating.
I'm happy because Anna's role was so good. I'm happy for Anna to actually direct Carl to these places, you know, so you can basically rub off on one each other, as it were. The evidence from the food in their cupboards points to their still eating. There's dried pasta, there's half packets of dried pasta, canned goods, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Loaf of bread. Student
Carl, although disgusted with their selection, without will be quite satisfied that they are at least consuming the food, so not kindred, and likely maybe not ghouls. So he'll return to his own search, which has so far been fruitless with the failed roll that I rolled earlier.
Anna, but given the fantastic roll that you had, your hand, as it goes beneath the desk, you actually feel something flat sellotaped to the bottom of the desk. And
is there a copy of Daley Thompson?
Yeah, I was just going, come on, and a weapon armory, secret door open.
If I am not me, then who the hell am I? Are you pulling free what's sellotaped underneath there?
Yeah.
It's a bomb!
Yay!
It's a flat, papery bomb. No, you actually find a letter of introduction that is in fine penmanship, introducing someone to the city of Berlin by the name of Sebastian Steinbeck.
Ah.
Steinbeck. Meet again. Your novels are terrible. And I've insulted most Americans right there. So,
but this Sebastian Steinbeck is a German, so it would appear from the letter of introduction that somewhat that Oscar von Humboldt was going to act as introducer and the sponsor of Sebastian Steinbeck's arrival in West Berlin. That Oscar von Humboldt had sent this to Sebastian, you would presume, judging by who the letter is addressed to, and that Sebastian would be able to use that as a pass should he arrive at Elysium. The Elysium that's noted is actually the one that you attended.
All right. That's something extremely useful. I'll mention that as soon as I find it and I'll just read through it. I'll go to Carl immediately and I'll be, looks like we actually might have hit the jackpot here. Take a look at this.
Carl looks at the name. Von Humboldt's the guy we just met, isn't it? The guy with the big pile of skulls. Or am I completely off?
No, that was Günther.
That was Gunther Lechtenbrink.
That's who it was, alright. Von Humboldt, then. I have met him, his name's come up before.
I don't know if you've met him, you've definitely heard of him.
Was he not the guy that booked the caterer?
He's the sheriff.
Is he not?
He is the sheriff, yes.
Yeah.
Ah.
Wow. I don't know. Are those dice actually showing up on my screen? I don't think they are.
A smaller version of your own face. You're just shrinking yourself. Hello.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Well, certainly from my perspective, that's what I'm seeing.
Well, we'll try that again. Oh well.
Is it Hattie Cakes?
How do I look now?
Sorry, what's the guy's name?
Am I still shrinking?
I haven't seen any shrinkage.
You've not been around me long enough.
If you type that into the chat, I'll find a picture and fire it up.
No. Fritz scored 2 10s. He was doing his own search, desperately trying to, and that was what I was trying to bring up on the screen, that on Dice Stream I'd got 2 10s, but for some reason it's not appearing. So you have to take my word for it as a trustworthy storyteller. As Fritz stakes both of you, dual wield. No, he, in his desperate effort to please his Mutter, he's been sort of scanning the room and just looking under mattresses, running his hands over the duvet, trying to find what he can. And he picks a card up. Mutter, I think I found something that will please you.
What have you there, Bossy?
Well, it looks like Mr. Whist was either particularly precocious or, well, shall we say, possessive over his things, because even his quilt cover has his name stitched into them. But not only that, but folded into one of his pillows is a card with one of these fetish clubs on them. It looks a bit well worn.
Very good, Fritz. You've been a good boy, and I'll give him like little, maybe a little. Well, I can't come up with the word, but you know, a little tap on the cheek, you know.
He does an all too cute linking hands, but and they, oh, you're too kind. But the reason it makes me think of things. You know how I am linked into the nightclub scene of our city. That club in particular is very exclusive. It is for hardcore fetish type. You cannot get in there unless you are dressed head to toe in latex or PVC. Very extreme activities take place in that one, I can assure you.
Well, I must say that if the other pamphlets and cards were more in the open and this was tucked away in the pillowcase, this must be something that is much more of a private and personal place for him to visit. So I guess even though these other nightclubs are worth looking into, this might be something that would shed much more light into our situation.
Carol will shudder in the background, thinking he's probably going to have to now, after being redressed in different outfits almost every night, about 3 times, is now going to have to make a PVC costume change for the first time in his life.
The club that's on the card is de Zundstoff. I'll spell it. Z-U with an umlaut. N-D-S-T-O-F-F. Zundstoff, even.
What comes after D-S-T?
O-F-F.
Okay. I'll just wave the card, and I'll just be if he is indeed in league in cahoots with an infamous party boy, and we have a card that is for a very exclusive club, a very exclusive party scene, we may find some much more concrete and straightforward leads into the actual party boy himself. It's most intriguing. Very good, Fritz. Very good. You've made Mommy proud, and I'll ruffle his hair like a little boy's.
He looks like he's on the edge of asking whether he can stay during the day, but he's not that bold.
Since we've already found such good leads, I'll just keep looking until we feel like we've basically looked everywhere.
Are you actually sort of tearing the room apart, or are you just doing everything?
No, we would like to leave it as much as, you know, the way we found it. This card is the only thing I'm going to be taking with. Oh, of course, the letter of introduction as well. But the pamphlets, for example, I'm not taking them with me. Only like these like hidden items I'm going to take with me. But I'm going to exercise caution in the sense that that based on what's missing, they wouldn't automatically know, places to avoid, or to alert somebody like, oh, they took the pamphlets to this club, so they'll most likely go there, and that sort of thing. So the card to the fetish club and the letter of introduction to Berlin, those I will of course need, because at least the letter thing is something I'm going to show to the sheriff, especially.
Going on the road of the bondage club type thing, are there any of the clothes sort of that type or that sort?
Good question. You can't see anything of the latex or PVC variety in here.
So presumably he has to be getting his costume from elsewhere. Is there any of the pamphlets that are to do with a costume shop, a clothes shop, or somewhere where an outfit could be procured?
Unfortunately not.
Drat. Well, Carol might make that suggestion then to the group, just saying, if he needs a costume and he doesn't have one here, when he sort of leaves that hanging in the air, maybe there must be a shop or a supplier or someone who he gets these things from. Either that or he just knows the owner of the club.
Yes, unless they are very brand specific in the club, if it's at all a requirement to have a specific brand or a specific manufacturer's clothing, I wouldn't think it's too much of an obstacle to just find an underground type of a shop that that you could find these sort of clothing lines in.
From what I understand of this particular club, not that I have been to it myself, but from what I've heard in Jünstoff, the first time you arrive in costume, you do not leave in it.
I see. But this is still something that we must plan out. We still haven't gone to the church yet, so we must think on this club a little bit and make preparations for it as well before we go into the lion's den, as it were.
What about the occupants? Should we question them?
Bruno is in the doorway. Not Bruno, Friedrich is in the doorway. Do you want me to fetch the occupants back?
Or should we get the ghouls to question them since they've already seen their faces?
I don't want them to recognize me, no. The ghoul... Well, the boys might have some questions for them. Which ones of my ghouls are in the close proximity at this point, besides Fritz?
Friedrich. Werner can be called over without much difficulty, but he is kind of acting as lookout.
Yeah, but Klaus and Bruno are the bigger, more threatening.
Yeah, Bruno is with these students right now. You assume because he's not actually back here.
Perhaps if Werner's posing as a member of the faculty or a professor of some kind, we could have him sort of chase away these bullies from those poor students, and they might even be more apt to speak to him then.
Did Carl say that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll...
You can't tell because I'm not using my voice anymore.
I'll once he says that, I'll just ponder on that a little bit, and I'll go, that is a good idea, yes. And Werner was outside the building, was he not?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, in that case, I'll... all of my ghouls have at least one dot in celerity, so I'm thinking even Werner, even though he's not like a refrigerator, he he can still, you know, overpower these two students if, you know, push comes to shove. So in that case, I'll just look at Carl and I'll say, I think we're done here in this dorm, and we best leave before any heads turn to our direction. I think we have enough to go on at this moment.
Carl just nods, and he's in an uncharacteristic show of leadership and initiative. He's going to be the first to make his way out, pausing in the corridor to make sure that big guy that chased him isn't back, and then sort of going outside very quietly.
From what you can tell, the guy who chased you has returned to his particular dormitory without travelling further along down the corridor to see what the big hubbub was where you are. Anyone who had entered the dorm would have been able to see Friedrich standing outside the room, but no one has come up to Friedrich to question him about why.
Okay. Well, I'll just head outside with Carl, and I aim to go to Werner basically at this point.
Werner is doing a bit of patrol, but seeing you, he walks over. Are we done here, Mutter?
Not quite yet. I need you to finish up here. While Bruno has these two boys from the dormitory, I need you to go and question them before our night is completely over. Go in there, use your authority, as you have the air of someone from more of the professor stature in these surroundings. So go in there and basically chase Bruno off of the two. Let all the rest of my boys, of your brothers, know that they are expected to return to the car and leave, and you conduct a little interview with the boys yourself. If they become too much of a bother, you know, you can use discretion, but I trust your judgment in taking care of the situation with them. But the thing is, we have found lots of pamphlets and lots of notes and cards having to do with various nightclubs and party destinations in downtown, particularly fetish and BDSM themed clubs. What I mostly want to know is that if they would know if there's a set of leather and latex clothing that fit these kind of nightclubs, and if they have something of the sort at hand, take it with you. But if they tell you about another location where they store clothing like that they would take to a nightclub of that sort, we need to figure that out.
I will pose as a concerned professor, and after scaring away Bruno, I will say that on a routine search of their dorm, we found evidence that they were attending these illicit clubs that the university does not approve, and through that manner of questioning, I will discern whether there is whether they have a cache of costumes somewhere on the campus or something like that, or whether there are others here that attended with them. Do you wish for me to ask them anything about this Johnny West?
Nothing that specific comes to mind. When it comes to this particular person, it's I think we've I think we've covered enough his comings and goings uh, to the school and church during the day, but to BDSM clubs during the night. So
Carl's performing his "I want to say something" face, but doesn't want to interrupt you.
Okay. Well, I'll look at Carl's direction questioningly if he looks like
maybe is the death of Mr. West public knowledge now? They were his roommates.
I would imagine so. He was hit and run last night, so presumably the university has been informed.
A line of questioning, I suppose, could be, since their roommate was very recently killed in at least somewhat suspicious circumstances, do they think it's anything to do with these illicit activities? There could be an issue of the masquerade there, and if they say anything like about secret societies or anything like that, it might be more serious a punishment needed for them than we think. And then Carol looked almost embarrassed to have suggested that, thinking he could have just got these two people to chop. So he sort of looks a bit crestfallen.
No, but that's something to keep in mind when you question these boys.
Very good, Muta. Werner doesn't really acknowledge Carl's suggestion, but nods as if Anna had made it.
Once everything is all right, you can report back to the apartments. Although, do not come and disturb me if I'm there at that time. But
I know better than that, Muta. All I ask is that you send Friedrich and Fritz off to find public transport. I do not wish for them to drive my beetle out of here.
oh, I think I'll let Klaus take the public transportation this time and take Fritz with me into the car. I think I think we're going to savor our health of our ears for the remainder of the evening.
As God is my witness, they are broken in half.
So yes, when you go and mention to your brothers that they can leave, mention to Bruno and Fritz to come to the BMW and the rest take public transportation.
I will have to rely on Bruno to make that call himself, seeing as I'm going to be chasing him away from these two students. But I'm sure that the first place he will head to will be the BMW.
Yes, very good. Make Muta proud.
I always endeavour to make you proud, Muta.
I'll go and give him a little peck on the cheek.
And he kisses you on the cheek in return, as he is so bold enough to do. Werner is about the only one who does do that.
Well, he is very capable. He deserves that privilege.
He's probably. I think we said he's the one that's been with you for longest, which is reflective in his apparent age, despite the fact he was probably 60 or so when he was first ghouled anyway. Likely as a sort of father figure obsession, as your character may well have had.
Yeah, very, very. Yeah.
So Werner heads off to the other ghouls and lets your decree be known. Friedrich looks jealously at Fritz. Fritz smiles at Friedrich. Friedrich heads off to catch the autobus, and Werner then stalks off in the direction that Bruno went. As you exit the campus, Klaus and the professor that have now parted ways. Klaus is still there by himself. And he smiles as you approach. Mutter, Werner passed on the message. That man, he was very interesting, Herr Schweitz. You know very interesting people.
Yes, we trained together a long time ago. It looks like he carried on his studies further than I did.
Well, he's asked asked me to relay a message to you for you to come here tomorrow during the day if you are not working to meet up with him for lunch, or maybe in the evening if you are not working in the evening. But I said I would pass the message on, but I said I did not know you well enough to vouch for your whereabouts at what time. So we're leaving, Mutter. I will catch up with Friedrich.
Very good. You've done well. You've made Mommy proud.
Carol casts a rueful glance back to the university as he sort of ruminates on his lost humanity again, and then sort of turns back to Anna, sort of looking at the sort of standing between his old life and his new one. He'd like nothing better than to go the following day and meet this guy, but he thinks that quite possibly severing all ties might be the best way. It might be something he will have to address at some stage with his erstwhile sire, if he ever sees her again.
Well, I must say, Carl, it's when you after entering into this world of ours, I have to say it's usually easier when you come to a completely new place like Berlin. I myself am from the countryside originally, so for me it was a lot easier coming here and that way sever all ties to the mortal world. But I see some of your ties have followed you here.
I'm just going to, for flavour, I'm going to roll self-control. Just to... Carl composes himself, but he looks fairly emotional. And he just says it's difficult sometimes. And then he sort of looks back towards the university, and he looks kind of directly at you and says, that could have been me, and this could have been him. And he doesn't say any more. In fact, he'll probably just want to get out of here now, so he'll try to sort of just move on to wherever we're going without another word.
Oh, I thought we were in the car by this point.
Are we? All right, okay. Well,
yeah. In that case, Fritz and Bruno are waiting.
No, I for some reason I thought the whole thing with Klaus coming over and all that. I for some reason imagined us already sitting in the car. But
well, that's how it's just morphed around to become.
Well, I was gonna say that I'm even though I might some of my actions may seem odd or strange or even deviant, I still am someone who is still has close ties with one's humanity. So I sense the emotional trouble that seems to be clouding Klaus's mind, and I after he's said what he said, I'll have like this kind of sympathetic look on my face, and I'll put my hand on top of his hand to comfort him, and without really saying anything, just to give this impression that I'm not the sort of tough love, buddy.
Eat your vitamins. I think it's time to roll frenzy for Fritz. I think I may have just pushed him over the edge with it. So no, Carl sort of like for a moment he'll be kind of warmed by the touch, but then of course there's no warmth in it at all, which only serves to remind him of what he's become. But out of obligation, out of the compulsion in his blood, he attempts to show whatever gratitude he's capable of silently.
Fritz turns around from the front seat and sees Anna with her hand on Carl. For a split second, his eyes narrow.
Carl!
And then he smiles and says, "Lucky Herr Schweitz," and he turns back round and sits very still. Bruno grunts.
I'll give his shoulder a little, smack, this kind of just this.
"Where are we going?" says Bruno from the driver's seat.
I'll leave you as you left me. So.
I'll turn to Carl and I'll say that, well, both the all the places that we need to visit from here, whether it's the church, whether it's this fetish club, or whether it's going to meet the sheriff to exchange notes. All of those places require a bit of thought beforehand. So I would suggest we. What is the time exactly at this time?
It's probably about 2 o'clock in the morning.
At this point, I would, if you, Carl, have any places you wish me to drop you off, and maybe we could pick it up with going to visit the church and plan our visit to the fetish club tomorrow night. That would be suitable.
I suppose the church is probably the location that requires the least amount of preparation, at least on the surface as I see it.
Bruno, who isn't usually one for speaking up or interrupting his mutter, does cough. "I do not wish to speak out of tone, mutter, and I am not your diary keeper, but my understanding was that tomorrow night you were to attend a party at Herr Jürgen's chateau."
Yes, it's true. It's true. Well, what do you say, Mr. Schweitz? Are you in for some fun times at the local church?
It sounds like a bloody. Well, Carl will just sort of nod his head and sort of shrug slightly, and then look up and say, "The way my nights are going at the moment, no doubt my local priest has taken up residence there."
Oh well. After we've gone through the church, I do believe we have lots of notes to share with our illustrious sheriff, and also some gossip to exchange with our illustrious family members at tomorrow night's party. So let's head on to the church, but since I don't really know if we're looking to rummage through anything there, we might just go in and listen to a sermon and see where that leads us.
Yes, maybe just a brief visit. We won't expose ourselves too much.
Yes, that's true.
You might want to drop me off further away so we don't arrive together.
Yes, that's actually a good idea. And so, Bruno, why don't you drop Mr. Schweitz off around the corner, and Fritz, why don't you wish to be your mother's date to the church?
I do not think I am dressed for church, Mutter. He points at the fact that he's wearing a bit of a frilly. Well, he looks a bit like Lestat, to be honest.
Well, I don't know exactly. I don't know if I mentioned what I'm wearing, but I don't think I'd be wearing anything too conservative, or too church fitting myself either, as I normally do wear dresses that where the shoulder area is pretty much bare. So.
Well, I would love to be your date, Mutter. You know that I would.
Very good. That's what I like to hear. And
I'll remain in the car.
You do that. You do that, Bruno. And I'll just look on as we drive and drop Carl off early.
Carl is dropped off about 3 minutes away.
Bodily thrown from the car by Fritz, probably. Oh! Roll the soak, Mr. Schweitz. No, he'll wait for the car to kind of drive off, and then make his way round to the entrance. So he'll probably arrive first, I would think.
Okay. So yeah, well, all right. We'll have Carl arriving first. What Carl sees as you approach the church, there are lights on inside. The church itself is an old building. It looks like it predates the war. In fact, it almost definitely does. And judging by the fact that there is still rubble surrounding it, it doesn't look like it's been the subject of much upkeep. Clearly, if it was damaged, it's been fixed, but you can't really see that well in the dark. And no, you can tell the roof is wooden. It's not its original build. It's just the walls that remain intact. The double doors at the front are open. The initial forecourt outside the front does bear some tombstones, but much like the rubble surrounding the church itself, most of them are broken up, and you wouldn't be able to read them in this light anyway. From within the church, there are dim lights pouring out. Looks like candlelight within. You can't hear singing or a sermon or anything like that, but then again, it is about 3 o'clock or 2:30 now.
Yeah, my first question was going to be: is this place actually open?
Well, from what Werner told you, it is open 24 hours as a rest place for the homeless.
Okay, Carol will saunter on in and take a look around.
As you pass through the doors, immediately to the left, there is a notice board behind a glass sort of panel that identifies this place as St. John's of the rightful word.
So many Giovanni in this city. Yeah, Carol.
Do a let's see. You don't have occult, but you have intelligence. Do an intelligence -1.
I don't know anything about the Giovanni, so if it actually is then, so what is it? Intelligence or?
Yeah, intelligence -1.
-1. 110. There you go.
Hey, you recognise that there's obviously the Christian cross above the St. John's, and in the O is the Masonic symbol.
Ah, the Knights of the Order of St. John, said John Burke. Okay.
So it looks like if at the very least this church was rebuilt using the funding of Freemasons.
Okay, Carol takes note of that but doesn't inspect it any more closely. Going inside into the sort of body of the church, is any of the original stonework, or is there new stonework, or is it just the wooden structure?
You can see the roof, the ceiling is bowed and looking pretty damn unsafe. And in fact, there is dripping coming and hitting right in the down the central aisle of the church. Looks like it's struggling to take whatever weight is up there, and that wood, while it's probably new, is dangerously rotten. The stonework of the interior walls is original, and you presume that the pews that are lined inside are likewise, but there's no stained glass in the windows. It's just plain glass.
Given that I must have some sort of grounding in Masonic, I suppose my guy is a conspiracy theorist, so probably has some sort of an idea about them. Is there any other Masonic symbology in the stonework, or is this looking like a new addition to the church's mythology, if you want?
There's nothing in the old stonework, but as you advance through the church, and the candlelight within is in fact incredibly dim. It's the candles are few and far between. You aren't able to see into every single shadow, but you are able to see on the lectern again the symbol of the Freemasons, and the lectern looks particularly new. So yeah, it would be a fair assumption to say that they moved in after the war.
Carol probably says Illuminati under his breath, seeing all these triangles. Is there anyone else in the church?
Yes, you can see 3 huddled forms on the pews, who you would take to be
Transients.
either vagrants, transients, or otherwise people who have been kicked out by their wives this evening.
Carol is going to have a little bit of a brainwave, is going to manoeuvre himself into a pew and just sort of kneel facing the altar for a moment. Partly to attract the attention of any of the religious types, who are probably the folk who run it, rather than the actual bums. But also because, to be honest, he's just met a ghost from his past, and he's in some way trying to exorcise it at the same time. But while he's there, he's going to keep looking around to see what he can see and hear what he can hear. Is it quiet in the church?
It is, yes. But almost as soon as you fall to your knees, someone you didn't even spy before comes out from what you would guess is the doorway to the rectory, dressed in a vicar's robes, a reverend's robes. Well, black trousers, shirt, and dog collar. He's, Protestant, but this is Germany. He walks over to you. I have not seen you here before.
No, I was just passing by. I just felt I had something to say.
Well, he sits on the pew next to you. Sit. What is it that you wanted to say? You can speak to me. You missed the sermon, but you can still speak to me.
Carol sort of frowns slightly, and he'll take his seat. The sermon? So late?
The last sermon is at midnight. This isn't a Catholic church. Well, it was before the war. This entire building is it's an amalgamation. There was Catholic trappings here. We have Protestant now, of course, and funding from a very friendly, very charitable group. All things considered, not one between you and I that I approve of as a general rule, but they helped this church in its time of need. It's just unfortunate they're not around now to help it again. But sorry, You did not come here for the history of this place. You just said late sermons. Yes, yes, we do. We still do midnight sermons, although they aren't what I would call mass. I'm not a Catholic priest.
No, it's quite all right. I do find history quite interesting. I suppose it's good to know who exactly I was praying to. But there are some who would say it's all going in one direction, I suppose. Whoever's up there may appreciate it.
I'm sure. My name's Mike, by the way.
Oh, Carl.
Mike Fuchs.
Carl's actually going to spend a blood point in warming himself this time. And give a shuggle of the hand.
Father Fuchs is a young man. He's in his early 30s. Has a 5 o'clock shadow. Clearly he doesn't get a lot of sleep because you can see from the bags under his eyes as well that he's a fairly active person, or at least perhaps an insomniac. But he's got a smattering of grey along the sides of his hair that would otherwise betray his youthful appearance.
Carl sort of looks at the vagrants sitting huddled in the corner and says, "This is a charitable place."
Back in the day, churches were used for this purpose. Now there's so much fear that the homeless will come in and steal Bibles, communion wine, whatever they can get their hands on. I don't hold stock with that myself. Certainly I don't get as many homeless in here as I would like. That may sound strange to say. I like this place to be filled with life. Even when he gestures at the ceiling, it is succumbing to its own form of death, I suppose.
Maybe there's a way I can help you.
At this point, Anna arrives, by the way.
All right. I will be arriving with Fritz, kind of looking like a couple type of thing. Gesture, and again, trying not to get too much attention, even though it may be hard with our get-ups and appearance and whatnot, especially if there are mostly regulars who come here. So yeah, we'll when we spot Carl at a position there, I'll well, we'll go sit somewhere bit off.
Shall we sit in the back, Mutter?
What?
Shall we sit in the back row? Make it look like we're here for some illicit purpose?
Don't do it.
Perhaps if we do so, and all the attention is brought on us, maybe that can give Mr. Schweitz the opportunity to sneak in and rummage through the place. I'm sure.
Encouraging Fritz to slip you the hand as a distraction, God's sake. No!
I don't know.
It's too much for me. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Maybe I could make a roll to see of intelligence and leadership to see if my character can come up with it.
Leadership, is that what the kids are rolling for these days? Leadership? What? Surely Dick's performance. Yeah. Oh god. Or brawl, depending on what way you're going.
I can't. Yeah, but all legit, I can't really come up with a fireproof plan at this point, and I think my character would be better at coming up with plans. So can I just roll like intelligence and something?
Carol's got a great plan.
I'm happy with you. Let's see. I think intelligence and leadership will work.
Okay. Haha!
Woo!
I'm rolling 6 dice then.
Oh god, it's dice.
8, 1, 2, 10, 1, 6. So there's 2 botches that cancel out 2 successes. That leaves only 1 success. I should have used another willpower point on it.
Right now, with your 1 success, I'm going to say that the only idea you have, if you want to cause a distraction, is to either make a big noise and commotion with Fritz, or otherwise appear intimate with him.
I will. I think feeling also. I feel kind of bad for being so harsh on poor Fritz. So maybe this show of affection will make up for it. So yeah, I'll kind of put on a show of when we kind of come in. I'll try to pretend to be kind of a ditzy kind of like this is some sort of a deviant plan of ours that we're just gonna go to church, and get all get all heated.
Carl's got a frenzy now. His plan's been ruined.
But yeah, that's my plan. So maybe it's I'll try to be like natural about it. Not like it's an act. So I do have performance. So if because for me, even though I wouldn't mind showing affections to Fritz, it's still I'm trying to like get an effect out of the what was it? Was it the priest or yeah? I'm trying to get him off of Carl so that Carl can sneak off.
Carl's just made a proposition to him.
Anna, do a performance and a charisma.
Okay. Performance. And this time I am using a willpower point.
Spot the guy that never.
6, 5, 5, 1, 3. So again, 1 success, 1 botch. So I would have gotten nothing, but since I used the willpower point, I have at least 1 success.
There's no finely honed seduction here. It's more like a drunken fumble in the back of the church. And to be honest, it works. Fritz is kind of bowled over by your forwardness. But he's not going to object to that as the 2 of you start locking lips and otherwise kissing each other all over your bare areas. He is, of course, making slight nips at you, trying to extract a little bit of that precious vitae without being forward and aggressive and clapping his jaws down. But
each time he does that, I'll kind of, push back, but then go on with it. But I'll definitely every time he might be trying to to signal to something of that nature, I'll immediately like shut that down. That's not.
Meanwhile, at the front of the church, I'll let Carl and the Reverend get a few lines out before the Reverend says, "Excuse me, I have to attend to something."
I have to eject these. Varnhagen. So Carol will say, maybe I can help you. It's not too much to ask, maybe. I'm a pretty good cook. Maybe there's a way, if you're wanting to attract more transients to come into the church, there could be like a soup kitchen or some kind of food. If you can provide the food, I could cook some of it up for you. It would have to be.
Are you representing the Salvation Army, or?
No. I just. And he sort of looks at him and he's absolutely nothing but honesty written all over his features. Just says, "I just want to do something good."
Well, of course, of course. What did you say your name was?
Carl, just Carl.
Excuse me, I'm getting distracted. There seems to be something going on at the back. I think some of our visitors may be fighting. If you, he gets pulls a notepad out from his pocket and a pen, and he passes it over to you. If you can give me your name again, telephone number by which to contact you, I'll call you tomorrow at a more reasonable hour.
Carl, realising he doesn't have a phone, sort of says, "No, I'm night shift anyway. That's why I'm up at this time. I don't have a phone in my apartment, but I can
Well, write down something. Write down something. I'll be back. I'll be back very soon." He gets up, starts walking.
Carol looks down after him as he starts walking away, and his gaze eventually falls on the frat house antics of Anna Varnhagen. Wondering why on earth she's doing this. Probably doesn't twig with him straight away that he's supposed to do something while she's doing it. I was supposed to distract the priest, you fool. So yeah, he just sort of looks at her and wonders why on earth she's decided to mack off with Fritz in the back row.
As Fritz and Anna have their tussle and the vicar gets closer and closer, Fritz, suddenly his eyes widen in fear, and Anna, you hear the words whispered, "Get out!" Fritz, faster than you've ever seen him move before, and you think, in fact, probably using the celerity that you have bestowed upon him, vaults over the pew and disappeared out of the church. The priest hasn't actually reached you yet.
So basically because his eyes were looking at his eyes type of thing.
No, he wasn't looking at the Reverend, or where the Reverend was coming from.
I think the Reverend just dread-gazed him.
Yeah, that's...
The Reverend is still walking up to you, with a friendly smile. He looks a bit quizzical at the fact that your male partner has just darted out. And he apologizes. He sort of apologetically nods and says, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare your male companion. Would appear it's time you should be leaving."
I'll... do I at this point see if Carl is still where he was when the priest started?
He's written on the sort of piece of paper he's been given. Like basically, I'll be back and whenever he's next free to go back, and he's just signed it Carl. He'll sort of take it, and he'll sort of look around for somewhere to put it, and then he'll decide to go and put it in the vestry where the guy came from.
Okay, so Carl has just disappeared out of sight.
Okay, good. In that case, I'll just look at the priest and I'll just put on this kind of a... I'm not being thrown out, am I?
It's time for awe. You threw me out.
Oh, no. I would never throw someone out, my lady. Madam, it's just that your male companion decided to beat a hasty retreat. I'm guessing he thought this place was empty, but as you can see, it's not. By all means, I don't mind either of you being here, but I do have to ask that if you're going to engage in any activities, please don't do it inside the church.
Well, I apologize. I'll Um, Damn it! I can't come up with anything to distract him anymore.
Woo! Small talk, for the love of God.
Call Klaus.
I was taken aback. I was quite taken aback by the by Fritz bolting out. He's just a clump of disappointment, isn't he?
I spied anything in the vestry when I go in, incidentally.
But again, this is another time where I think my character's wits and such are greater than mine in this kind of situations where I feel like I have to lean on a roll again or something because I can't come up with a way to distract him. But I'm sure my character would. So.
Damn you, Von Hagen.
Well, excuse me.
What a Jezebel! Damn her! God damn her!
You want to see a magic trick? No.
Anna, you do know that the voice that you heard isn't that of the vicar. He's turned from a reverend to a priest. The holy man.
It's the voice of the spectre that the St. Johns have summoned to guard us.
But that's, if there is someone who's using, if that was indeed a domination trick to be used on someone who's of the self-control of a ghoul, which worked, as well as it happened to work on the two doormen who were ghouls as well.
It could be that sort of thing could be present still.
Yeah, it could, but I'm trying to just do it too.
Well, as you're behaving strangely, and the man is just still rather uncomfortably smiling at you, Carl in the vestry.
Mile in the vestry
with the lead piping. The vestry. The vestry looks as a vestry should. There's a table within it. It actually looks like this place is used for the preparation of food as well. There's a small kitchen in here. There's a open wardrobe with priest's blacks hanging up along with chorister outfits. Don't look
just very dark blue.
Yeah. And
Who's a real priest?
There's chorister's outfits that look a bit faded and yellow and stained with time. Only time.
Not parsley or sage.
Yeah.
Well, Carol, he's not going to tear the place apart. He'll go and he'll put under the guise of walking over and putting the notepad on the table, he'll have a look about the place, probably using heightened senses to enhance his vision to sort of glance around the room, see if he can spy anything with his now eagle eyes. So what, perception alertness or investigation?
Yeah. Perception alertness. No, I would do investigation actually.
Right. That's a shame, because alertness is a much higher dice pool. So he will roll at difficulty, a -1 difficulty because of heightened senses. And it wouldn't matter because, oh no, he does get a success. There you
go. You spot absolutely nothing out of the ordinary here, to the point of... It all seems a bit too perfect for such a run-down little shithole of a church.
Just piquing Carol's interest in food, has the kitchen been used?
Yeah. It has seen use, although it's perfectly clean.
Carol
nods. That's what strikes you as the most odd. The church itself is in a state of disrepair, but all of the appliances here almost gleam with cleanliness.
With my professional knowledge, is it an old cooker, or does it look like it's been put in newly?
It's an old cooker.
Righto.
It's old, it's gas, and you can see where the canister's plugged in right next to it.
But it looks like it's seen use, like he's been using it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any sort of cupboards or drawers or anything lurking around here?
All the cupboards here have no doors upon them, so you can see exactly what's inside.
Okay. Is there
a pack of hymn books, Bibles, and the like?
Are there doors to any other rooms in here?
Yeah, there's a door that you would gather would lead out to the rear entrance of the, or would be the exit of the church.
Yep.
You're not sure where, in that case, the vicar sleeps, if he stays on the property, but it's not really a rural church. This is in the middle of town.
That was my next port of call. Well, if he's going to be here so late. So Carol will leave the vestry slightly frustrated, but with a few things to ponder, and he'll start making his way back out.
So you're heading out back through the church.
Is there anything else out there, or is that the only sort of door there?
That is the only door in the vestry.
Well, actually, one more thing. Columbo. Is there any, in terms of the sermon, or any of his notes or anything lying around?
Yeah.
What was the sermon? What was the sermon about?
It's quite strange, actually, as you have a quick glance through it. Bearing in mind you're not necessarily a church-going type anyway, but there's some scant references to the Bible, but most of it seems strangely philosophical, almost nihilistic.
Okay. Is the thing he gave me to write on, was that just a slip of paper, or was it an address book, or?
It was just a small pad of paper.
Is there anything else written in the pad?
As you flip back pages, yes, there are several names and dates and ticks, checks through some of them.
Do I recognise any of the names?
How long are you going to take looking through the book? Just having a quick speed read?
Yeah, I'm not going to, I don't think I've got time to ruminate on it.
In that case, I'm going to ask you to do alertness plus perception, as you do a Superman read through it.
Celerity. Here we go. Does heightened senses still count on this, or probably not? No. I'm still just looking at a book. So that's going to kill me with Scottish dice rolling. 2 successes.
Okay. You do actually recognise the name of Johnny Whist.
Ah.
And it does have a mark through it.
Yeah, is he ticked, or is he scored off? Or?
Yeah, he has a score through his name.
The other people aren't scored off, they're ticked?
No, they all have the same mark through them.
Right, okay. Right, at that point, Carol will exit and sort of very innocently make his way back out to the front, and just goes
to the front of the church. Fuchs is saying, "I really don't understand what you're trying to say to me, madam, but if you're not here to speak with me or to pray, or to sleep even, then I think your boyfriend needs attending, or your son."
Son?
Mein Gott!
Mein Gott!
Frenzy, self-control.
I come out to see Mike being laid low with an uppercut to the chops.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
That's it. He's dead.
The belly to back super.
I'll just say well, it was good for me to get a small moment a short moment to cool my nerves and not run out after him, so I wouldn't beat him half to death or running off on me like that. But
Remember,
I wish a good night to you, Father.
At which point she stone cold stunners him in the middle of the middle of the aisle.
And I'll just take my leave, and I'll just do like a little courtesy thing. I'll still like pretend to be maybe a bit drunk, stupid person, and I'll just this kind of I'll just wobble off out of there. I can't wait to get out of this major embarrassment of a situation I managed to tangle myself into.
oh, are you leaving, Carl? He smiles as Carl passes him.
Carl sort of smiles and nods at him and says, yeah, I'll come back and we'll talk more. I put your notepad back in the back there. It's I just left it on your table.
Oh, in the vestry?
Yes. It's fine. I'll just
Have a look at the cooking equipment there.
Carl smiles broadly. You keep a clean kitchen. I do appreciate it. It's a very professional touch. While he's talking, he's sort of giving Anna the chance to make her exit with no further rancor. He'll say, have you ever, I don't know how to say this, but have you ever worked in the cooking trade? You seem to run a tight ship in there.
No, heavens, no. Volunteers who cook for us, and we just have there's an old lady local to here who we sometimes get in to clean the place if I'm unable. But whenever we put on a function, the place is always left spotless. Come morning, it's a marvel.
Oh, so you don't live here?
Me, no, I don't live in this place. Well, I spend most of my time here. I don't really get much sleep, if truth be told. But one of the old barracks nearby. This part of Berlin used to be where almost all the American GIs would stop over when they were here for their year's tour. Now there's far less of them, of course, and so certain of the barracks have been given over to the locals, including myself, for reasonable costs, which is just as well because this whole trade, the trade of faith, doesn't pay.
Well, as I said, maybe I can help you. Maybe we can make something of this place. And he smiles, sort of. I suppose somewhat genuinely, but he still suffers from his shyness and sort of stammers his way through it. I just, as I said, I just want to do something good. I don't want to. I'm not interested in, getting any fame or.
I'm not sure, but it's all right. I can tell when a man is struggling. Listen, Carl, no sermons. It's too late in the night for that. It must be 3 a.m. if not later. We all have our limitations. Accepting those limitations and making the other parts of us strong, that's God's plan. That's what I'm sure of. You're clearly not the most confident of talkers, especially around people like me, and a lot of people get intimidated around those who claim to speak for God. That's fine. Your skill is charity and cooking, and you make the best of that. And you can be the worst in the world at public speaking, at speaking to vicars, in chatting up women. It doesn't matter, because you have a talent, and that's yours to hone. Just let the rest of it drop off like rotten flesh.
Giovanni!
For a bit, but
Carl Yeah, Carl feels his meta senses tingling. He sort of nods his head. He seems quite probably taken in by this speech, I would think. And he says, "What do you think your greatest talent is, Mike? You mind if I call you Mike?"
You know, of course, that's why I introduced myself as Mike. I like everyone to think of me as a friend. Certainly, I've not made many enemies in my time. My greatest talent, well, without succumbing to pride, I think that where I hone my skills best is in giving succor to those who others would neglect, and having an open mind, an open heart, and an open house. I don't feel that that wealth is something that you need in order to do those things. I think all you need is, well, a church over your head for as long as the roof holds out, and a good community surrounding you.
Well, if you'll indulge me, then maybe we can make something for these gentlemen in the next few nights, and maybe a little something for yourself too, and show you how I've honed my talents.
I will be pleased to see them.
Carol then sort of awkwardly, almost half bows, sort of half genuflects, and gets stuck between the two somewhere. And,
oh, please, again, I'm not a Catholic. Don't do that. It embarrasses me.
He doesn't seem to know what the protocol is, and then when he sort of says that to him, he just sort of kind of giggles slightly and shuffles out of the door. Yeah, he sort of waves over his shoulder, having a last look around. Bye, Mike. Away! Super Schweiz.
And you meet up with Anna outside of the cemetery.
Could I have since I came out before him, I would like to locate Fritz.
Fritz hasn't moved far. He is on the he literally just on the other side of the gate to the cemetery, where he's shaking. It's like he's been sort of retching, you know, clutching his knees, generally feeling ill.
At the time when I get out of the church, I'm just you know, piping with anger and disappointment at him. I would imagine I would have at least one ring on my fingers that has some sort of a stone on it. No, I'll like if I have it has like a diamond on it or something, even less fancy or something. I'll just turn it around this way, and I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna just before I say anything, I'll just give him a slap on the cheek with the stone on the inside of the ball. And I'll just look at him in a very like I'll look like I'm like biting my teeth together type of angry. I'll just slap him and just say, "You son of a bitch! Do you have does embarrassing me publicly bring you some kind of joy? Does it? Is this becoming some sort of a meme with you? Just like building up this gratitude with me, and then just making sure it plummets to the ground, pleasing me, and then just embarrassing me and destroying what I'm trying to do?"
The slap to his face seems to have... His initial reaction after you hit him is actually one of gratitude and relief. And then, of course, you admonish him quite loudly, and he recoils and cowers and pretty much falls to his arse on the pavement and raises his hands as if to say, you know, that he surrenders. Please don't hit me. Please don't take out your ire on me. But he doesn't say anything.
Yeah, I'm like knees bent back forward, like leaning on top of him, you know, pointing with my finger, very this kind of, you know, public arguing type of posture there, and I'll just I've the whole evening I've been just thinking about how I'm going to express my gratitude and pride at all the things you've accomplished, how you found the card, and how everything you've done, how it's remedied last night's disappointments. But then, out of the blue, right again, you managed to disappoint me yet again. What is it with you? Why are you doing this to me?
Mutter, I heard a voice, and I saw a horrific face, and I couldn't help it. I had to flee. I couldn't help it. I couldn't stop myself.
I'm just still really angry at him, but at the same time, all I can really think about belittling him is just what I've already kind of said, and at the same time, as I'm venting my frustration on him, at the same time I kind of get rushed with the sympathy and all this stuff, because he is still someone I look upon as kind of my child. So this was basically kind of this kind of rush of overly excessive kind of disciplinary action toward a child type of thing in my mind. So I get immediately after he seems like as pathetic as he is, wobbling on the ground, it fills me with this kind of immediate regret and angst about being this volatile towards someone I love. So as soon as he's like on the ground, I'll just try to like collect myself, but not to
make you roll a self-control for that, actually.
Okay. Let's see how much.
Because he did completely, as far as you're concerned, ruin your plans and make a fool of you.
Yeah.
Ah, Herr Fritz, seems you do indeed need me to help you, please, Mutter.
3, 7, 5, so that's 1 success.
Okay. Yeah, you restrain yourself from cuffing him again.
Yeah. But yeah, not to, so that I won't completely like confuse his brain chemistry and all that sort of stuff, completely like traumatize him by first slapping him, then hugging him and kissing him. So like I'll like just try and cool off and just I'll stand there next to him and just cross my hands and just tap my finger and look very intently towards the church, waiting on Carl to.
Carl is just leaving, and he makes his way towards you, unless you're deciding to walk the other way, Carl.
Oh God, it's Fritz! I'm out here. No, Carol will come out, and maybe, in fact, maybe not wanting to just sort of like go. I'm with them right in front of the church just after leaving it. He'll sort of like look, and when he's certain he's got at least one of their attention, he'll sort of like nod sort of down the street, and he'll walk down in that direction. And once he's kind of far enough away, he'll wait for them to catch up with him.
Yeah, I'll follow. But once I start to leave off, I'll look at Fritz and I'll just this very stern and very still pissed off face. I'll just nod my head for him to follow.
Fritz is pretty much Renfelding his way behind you, grovelling and scuffling.
Yes, master. So yeah, Carol sort of waits. He's quite proud of himself now. He's more puffed up. He feels as though he's accomplished something, which no doubt means he's about to be hit by a train. So he's sort of half looking pleased and half looking doomed. But as you approach him, he says, "He seemed like a nice guy."
You think so?
Well, he was nice to me.
Oh well, if it wasn't him that did it, it was someone else in that church that that gave a terrifying voice and a face that scared Fritz here into fleeing the premises with some haste.
Is Fritz there? Is he with you?
Yeah, he's maintaining a constant distance of around 4 feet, or a yard or so.
Carol looks at him with concern and says, "Are you okay?"
He looked away from you, defers, and won't make eye contact, and won't answer.
Carol looks at Anna again and looks back at Fritz. He's not sure why he's doing this because he doesn't understand really the ghouling process.
Never mind. I'll just never mind him. He's just ashamed of running off on me.
He looks at Anna again. Then was it the priest?
The voice didn't sound the same, at least. But
no, it wasn't the priest.
Who was it then?
Yeah.
No, it was a.
I'll turn around and walk intently towards Fritz, and I'll put my hands on his shoulders and I'll say, "Fritz, my boy, this is a fine opportunity for you to remedy the situation you've caused. Please be kind to your mutter and tell me, who was it?"
It was like the devil's face just appeared in front of me and forced me to get up and run. It was like Satan just appeared over your shoulder and locked eyes with me, and I couldn't look away and I couldn't disobey him. He had horns and it was like he was about to belch fire, and I was afraid.
I'll look at Carl with one eyebrow raised, questioningly, just.
And he looks at Anna then and says, "Did you hear anything?"
I heard the voice, didn't I? But I did hear a voice saying, "Get out." But
so this wasn't a hallucination then?
Yes, I definitely did not see anything. I only heard the voice.
At least that means it wasn't sort of only Fritz that saw it. But, well, I had to look around in there. He gave me his address book. I'm going to come back and do some sort of charity work. Maybe I can find something out, earn his trust somewhat, find out what he's doing. If there is something going on here, maybe he'll eventually confide it in me, but that might take longer than we have. He did have the name of Mr. Wist in his address book, but he'd crossed his name out.
I see. Interesting.
The vestry was remarkably clean. The priest said his name was Mike Fuchs, and he lives in a barracks, and wherever he said the barracks was, I can't remember.
He didn't give you an exact address.
The barracks where the Americans used to live, I think he said. But there's probably more than one. But he did say it was nearby. He also said there was an old woman housekeeper in the church. She might be worth asking about the activities there.
The mere fact that there was supernatural things going on in this church is something that not only would interest the sheriff, but is something that we absolutely must inform him of. This might be something that we might not wish to trample on too hard before letting the sheriff and.
Well, I had a read at the sermon. The the language was strange. It wasn't your typical parochial lecture, but then the priest himself, or reverend, or whatever it is he is, said it's a Protestant church now. He doesn't have, it seems, a typical outlook. He spoke to me about honing one's talents and discarding the parts where you're weak and honing the parts where you're strong and discarding everything else. And I quote, like rotting flesh. It seems an odd choice of words for a man of the cloth.
So you think there is something more nefarious at work in terms of these sermons? Something.
I don't know about that. I certainly think that they reveal that the priest's views aren't typical, and his connection to Mr. West would make me think that he was certainly involved or aware. This wasn't some piece of paper randomly lying around. This was a notepad he was carrying. It was his notepad. So it implicitly links him to West. And
yes,
he knows he's dead.
Yes, Werner did tell that the sermon that he went to listen to during the day was very politically charged and rather anti-East and anti-communist. But with this supernatural occurrence here and the rest, it seems like there's a lot to dig beneath the surface when it comes to this.
There was one more thing that he revealed. It might be nothing, but I asked him, obviously my talent is in the kitchen, but I asked him what he thought his great talent was that he honed, and he said something quite poignant. He said that he cared for people who were otherwise not cared for. He offered succour to the lower orders, the huddled masses and such. Very socialist language. In a way I can approve of this myself. But if it is a kindred connection, if it is a supernatural connection, as I understand it, that may be a direct reference to the Camarilla or an anti-Camarilla movement or an anarch movement.
Very good. We've uncovered great amounts, much more than I originally hoped for. You've done very good, Carl.
Carl almost blurts out without thinking about it, "Do you think Helga will be pleased?" And then he sort of catches himself and he actually puts his hand over his mouth and sort of, as if he was trying to push the words back in, sort of stands there and then looks at Fritz standing with his head bowed and again sort of draws the comparison. And he closes his eyes and sort of looks at you again and looks quite embarrassed.
Oh, I'm sure, but she may still have her feelings hurt, so let's not call her right up. But I'm sure she'd be proud of you after all you've done already.
Okay. Yes, of course. I'm sorry, I have to work harder.
I'll get a little closer to him and I'll just rub his shoulder a little bit. You've done good, Carl. You really pulled it on.
The part of Carl Schweitz that is John Burke turns around to Fritz and goes, "Yeah, look at that." The part of him that is Carl Schweitz just sort of like nods and sort of loosens up a little bit and says, "Are we finished tonight?" Or
I would think so, yes. I'll have Bruno pick us up and drop you off wherever you wish to be dropped off.
Thank you. I just want to go home.
I understand. We have a lot of ground to cover come tomorrow night.
Should I try to find something to wear to this event?
If you wish, you can come to my apartment beforehand, and we can fix you up with something nice.
That'd be lovely. Thanks very much.
Of course. Yeah, I'll just we'll go look for where Bruno is with his car.
Okay, and is there anything else the two of you wish to do in game tonight, or shall we call it there?
If this is the end of the night, Carol is going to do something.
Okay.
Yeah, I was planning on doing something as well, but those we can at least, if you ask me, we can start off the next session from that stuff, too.
Okay, well, we'll start off with yours and we'll finish off this one with Carl's. Carl, what is it that you want to do with the end of this session?
Carl returns to his apartment. The first thing he does is pretty much he's been distracted by it all night. It's been gnawing at him in the back of his head. When he thinks about his sire's name bursting back into his mind again at the end of the night, he takes out his own sort of notepad or journal and he begins writing in it. He's not writing all the things he's discovered tonight. He's sort of leaving that to his own memory and to Anna and her ghouls. What he's writing down is a description of the meal he ate the previous night, because his sire wasn't there to witness it. He's decided he's going to give her a gift of documenting every single thing he cooks, and he's going to cook something every night. And he keeps like an almost diary, a Dear Helga, lovingly written in his best handwriting, describing with ever-increasing hyperbole each nuance of taste that he discovered. He doesn't mention Dieter's bottle of wine, which he probably refrigerates. In fact, unless it's a red, in which case he just...
Yeah.
All right, okay. He puts it in a cupboard, somewhere out of sight, somewhere where the landlady won't try to pilfer it off him, because it's probably worth more than the block of houses. And he then sort of he looks at his bed. He sort of feels the tiredness coming on, but he looks back at the diary and thinks he's going to make one last attempt at something with what he's got left of his ingredients before he goes to bed. So rattles out, with great success. Not quite as good as the previous effort, but he's not attempting what he attempted the previous time, so it's still whatever, as good as it is. And he takes the notes to bed with him, sort of firing through as many different descriptions as he can. Not satisfied with one, he tears the page out, goes on to another one, until he's happy with it, and then just closes the book and exhales as though he's been holding the breath in, which he probably has the entire time. And then in disgust he throws the book away and it slams against the wall, kicking up a big shower of dust and chasing off some mice. And he just thinks about his old friend Herman, a professor at the university, and as he drifts off to sleep, he whispers the words again: "He could have been me."
Wunderbar. Now I feel bad. Eunice, do you want a final scene, or do you want to be getting to bed?
Yeah, I would like a final scene.
One up then.
I would like to be shown up. God damn it.
I would with Bruno driving and Fritz being in the car with me, I would imagine that there's like a lot of awkward silence in the car and not a lot of chatter going around.
Bruno actually does, after he's been driving for a while, winds down his window, and you hear him, well, he leans over to Fritz, and quite quietly, but loud enough for you to hear, says, "Have you shit yourself, Fritz?" and Fritz looks very embarrassed. Bruno slows the car to a stop. Mutter, I would prefer Fritz walking back.
Keep driving.
Mutter, he is making the car smell.
Keep driving.
Very well. He opens up the ventilation and drives along, now completely in silence. Fritz gently crying.
I'll like before, after reprimanding Fritz, in this overly, abusive manner, I still feel like this rush of angst coming over me over that, and I just, as we're in the car, especially since he's soiled himself, it feels even more like like there's a weight on my chest about this stuff. And once we get to the car park, I'd get out from the car and I would walk to Fritz's door, and I would place my hand on his back, and I would just tell him, "Get up."
Fritz does so.
I'll just turn to Bruno and say, "Good night," and I'll walk with Fritz. All the time we're walking together, I'll keep my hand on his on his like shoulder line on his upper back, and I'll keep my other hand on his arm, and I'll just walk slowly to the elevator, with him, completely like keeping hold of him, keeping him close, and that sort of thing. I'm not really saying anything to him, especially. I'll just be kind of shushing him, like just it's okay, yeah. And I'll go up the apartment with him, and I'll open the bathroom door, and
as you open the front door, Werner is already there and sat in a chair with a newspaper. Looks up as you walk in. Mutter?
I'll wave a hand at him and pay no attention to him at this point.
He shrugs and carries on reading his newspaper.
Yeah, I'll go and I'll open the bathroom door and walk Fritz in through the doorway and go and put the bathtub to fill, and as it starts to fill, I'll turn to Fritz and I'll sit on the edge of the bathtub, and I'll tell him, "Okay, now get undressed."
Ashamedly, as if he's a prisoner and you're a warden who's watching him perform this ceremony, he peels his clothes off.
I'll just put the soiled clothes into the corner there, and come here.
He shuffles over to you. Again, not really making eye contact at all.
At this point, I'll as he comes towards me, I'm still sitting on the edge of the bath. I'll kind of look him up and down, and I'll like place my hands on his waist there as he's close to me. In this kind of, I'm not smiling or anything like that. I'm just, I just put my hands there, and I'll then stand up and tell him, go sit in the bath.
He lowers himself into the bath and finally looking up at you, he's crying. He says, Mutter, even when I was scared, I still wanted your blood, and even when you were hitting me, I couldn't help but think of the taste of your blood as your hand struck my face, and even as I was dogging your heels, all I could think was that I needed to please you again so that I could taste your blood again. I need it, Mutter. I need it so badly. I need to taste you.
Shh. Mommy knows all this, and I'll. While he was going into the bath, I would have started to undress myself, and once he said all of this, and I'm shushing him. I'm also like crouching down next to the bath, and I'll take a sponge and I'll just say, "Mommy knows all that, but now she has to clean you up." And I'll start to like bathe him, and I'll wash him, almost kind of like I would wash a little kid or something like that. At least the emotional landscape of her, what's going on inside her mind. It's like this kind of crooked motherly instinct of some kind, on some level, and I'm just I feel just this immense amount of sympathy for this poor boy, and I also feel um, regret and angst over being so harsh on him. So I will take my time with him. I will wash him clean and everything like that. And once I've cleaned him up, I'll 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 tell him to I'll basically, once he's cleaned up and dried up and that sort of thing, I'll take him by the hand and I'll lead him to my bedroom. And if Werner says something while we're walking down the hallway or something, I'll again just brush him off. But
it looks like you know that Werner has particularly good senses, and maybe they kicked in because Werner is gone, but he has left a lengthy handwritten note on your coffee table.
I'll get to that later then.
Yeah.
Once I lead him to my bedroom, I'll close the door behind me, and I'll go to Fritz, and I'll just I'll like lean on him, and I'll go put my mouth at next to his ear, and I'll whisper him, Musa has a surprise for you. Close your eyes.
He does so.
And open your mouth.
He does so.
I go to my nightstand and open it up, and I pull out a razor blade, and I'll place it on top of his tongue in his mouth, and then I go and I'll give him a passionate kiss, which would lacerate both of our tongues and give him the satisfaction of getting my blood as well as me feeding on him. And that way, I'll like, if he's like still like this kind of a whimpering shell, I'll make the kiss more and more passionate in like increments, leading up eventually to me basically taking him to bed, and I will sleep with basically him spooning me, and you know, I'll revitalize that shook up little boy that I need to be an able man come tomorrow night. So,
okay, I think that's a good place to end. So we'll get to the note that Werner wrote at the beginning of the next session. But thank you very much to both players, who I'll be catching up with very shortly. I'm very pleased with how much you both achieved tonight. So 5 experience points for the both of you. It was excellent. It's on record now. It's recorded. I can't just take it back.
Haha! Now I have enough to do what I wish.
I've definitely learned necromancy now from all those Giovanni in the church.
Yeah, it was all the vagrants. They're all just.
I was actually thinking because I calculated that I'm planning on raising my presence so that I have the summon discipline, and I now have enough experience points to get it. But in terms of the context of the game, since I all the time, you know, hustle to maneuver these 5 ghouls of mine here and there, and all this sort of thing, all the time, like organizing, giving orders to them, and that sort of thing, and spending time to strengthen the bond we have with these feeding things and such. Would it be believable for me to be able to that way raise my presence and be able to spend the experience?
I think given the relationship you have with your ghouls, it makes sense that you would be able to learn it, especially in respect of them. So yeah, I'm happy with you learning summon.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm going to terminate this broadcast for those of you watching live. Thank you very much for those of you who have watched all the way through this. It was a long session, so I hope you enjoyed it or were horrified or both. And see you for next time, whenever that may be. Goodbye.